My name's Jean McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org. Well, we are not well into the new year. We're in our second month into the new year. And so it's time to get down to business. There's lots of activity happening on the political front in 2024. And so we're starting at the beginning of where some of the foundational things that we can talk about on Civic Beat. How do we get started into this conversation? That's going to be all year because this is a presidential election year and lots of other elections going on this year. But we want to start at the beginning because we're at the beginning of the new year. And where else could we start than one of the most influential, powerful political groups in the city of Hartford, the Democratic Town Committee. It's Tuesday, February 6th. Welcome to Civic Beat. My name is Nyesha McCauley, and I couldn't imagine a better person to join me to have this conversation than Jean Holloway. Now, if you don't know Jean, she wears many hats, has served on NRZs, boards, commissions, and also the town committee herself. So, and council aide, and I think there's a whole other long list, but let's bring her on to Civic Beat and have this conversation. So welcome to the Beat, Jean, Miss Holloway.
Thank you for inviting me.
I tried to name all the things that you've been involved in the city of Hartford. What did I miss? What am I overlooking?
Already that.
That was it. That was everything.
Yeah,
I covered everything.
That was it.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay. I don't want to leave anything out because I know you've been just like a bedrock, a foundation here in the city, serving and supporting and just into a lot of different things. Before we get started, why is that? Why do you, I guess, serve? Like what is calling you to be so active in all things Hartford?
Oh my goodness, I don't know how to answer that question. I really don't. What got me started was something very simple. I came to this neighborhood, I think in 1971. I came to Claros in 1971. My children went to Barnett Brown School. The neighborhood started to change by 1975. So my neighbors were no longer Caucasian and African Americans, they were Hispanic. So my children learned to speak Spanish, just jumping hopscotch. They learned to roller skate in the neighborhood. And so, I'll take them to Jamaica for vacation. When they came back one year, they picked up patois in Jamaica and they thought it was a whole different language. And so they went to Barnett Brown School and they started to speak patois that they learned in Jamaica. And I get a phone call telling me that they have put my children into English as a second language.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind because I didn't know what that meant. So I went over to the school and they explained it to me. And I had to say, no, that's not the way it is. And that began my serving the community at Barnett Brown School. I volunteered to go on trips with the children and I became a part of the PTA. Then when they moved to Court Middle School, I got on the board, the PTA board at Court Middle. They went to Hartford High. I got on that one. And then from there, here I am serving my community.
You know, I've heard that kind of story before. I think I share a similar sort of trajectory, it's often the children or an issue that's just really close to your heart that
Yes.
calls you to say, hey, you know what, I better get involved in this. And I think that's just a perfect segue to what what the Democratic Town Committee is sort of like maybe entry into being actively engaged in the electoral process. Would you say? Like, would you say
Oh,
it's like,
absolutely.
okay, okay,
Absolutely, because what happened in between the children um, attending Barnett Brown School, there were a lot of vacant lots in my neighborhood. And then there was one specifically between Fairmount and Albany Avenue, where Julio Lozada was on the roof, and his boys they were all playing. And from where I'm sitting right now was where I was looking through the window, and I could see the children on the roof playing. And I went about my business, taking care of my kids. And then after that, I heard a rumble. And when I ran outside, I could see the building had collapsed. I knew the kids were there, but I don't know how long I was away from where I was, so I can say where they if they were still there. But along the way, I saw where the fire department came out and stuff like that, and you know the whole drama around it. They were fully laid in there for how many? I don't know how many hours, because there were no English speaking people, Spanish speaking people on the fire department to understand what Hispanics were saying. And at that time, it was predominantly Hispanic community. And I remember my husband came in from work that evening, and he was going across the vacant lot. And somebody said that they were whimpering in the neighborhood, and I don't know. He went around the corner. I don't know what he said to Maria Sanchez. However, the fire department came back out again, and when they dug it up, they found the young man right there. And that was also a part of what started me to be active in the community, because my whole thing was there was no reason for that young man to have been playing on the buildings if we had had a playground. And so subsequently, um, the Hartford Correctional Center that was on Sim Street. They tore it down. And so I was one of the parents that walked with Maria Sanchez and a group of Hispanic women and men to ask Governor Grasso to give us that state property for the playground. So that's kind of what pushed me to be very, very fierce, utterly protective of this neighborhood and the residents, is because of all the stuff that has happened to us back here.
absolutely. And you know, I think you're also describing the the power that we have as individuals, as residents, particularly when we come together and advocate for change. Like, we're the only ones who can play that role. We're the only ones who can be that voice. You know, you were there right in the neighborhood. You knew exactly what was going on and what was needed. And it requires you to speak up and to call for something to be done about it. And I
That's what you
think,
have to do.
yeah.
When you live in your neighborhood, this is where you come home to every day. You're here every day. You have to be a part of it. You have to be a big part of it. So, but what I'm finding out, there's not a lot of people who wants to do that anymore, or maybe I don't know where they are. Mhm.
I think certainly, I felt that as well, going out this past political season, the mayoral election, and knocking on doors and talking to folks. And there certainly seems to be a shift in what people are interested in participating in anymore. But, you know, I think we probably could spend a whole other separate show diving into like what are the root causes of that. But thinking about the time we're in right now, in the beginning of the election cycle, I wanted to really talk about this influential group, like the town committee members and their role in helping to make that kind of change. Now, you served as a town committee member. Can you share with someone who has no idea, like I don't know what you're talking about, what is a town committee and why should I care? What makes them so influential or powerful, and what does it matter?
I think that the town committee members of long ago knew the importance of being a part of the democratic process. It was it was a fight for you to get on town committee. It is so coveted. You really want to be a part of that process, and you do everything in your power to get there because the Democratic town committee members in any city. They're the most powerful elected officials. They are the first elected officials that your neighborhood see. The neighbor, when you get up every morning, the first elected official you see is your town committee person. The town committee person, you are the liaison between the neighborhood and the elected officials because the average person do not know who my senator is or your senator or state rep for that matter. So when they come to you with an issue, you as a town committee person, you need to pick up the phone and call that elected official and do whatever it is that they need to do to make it better for that person who came to with an issue. But that is not being taught anymore. People are, in my humble opinion, I think that people are getting on the Democratic Town Committee because they can be a vote for a person. But they don't really understand how powerful that role is and what they need to do with it. I don't know if I answer your question.
Yeah. How does one go about becoming a town committee member? Like, do you just sign up and you become a member, or is there another process? How do people, if I want to become a town committee member, what do I have to do?
Town committee members are usually people who are in the neighborhood who do a lot of stuff. They do a lot of volunteer work, okay? They volunteer on school boards. They volunteer on the cafeteria at school. They just do volunteer work in their neighborhood for the folks that are there. And somewhere along the line, somebody will say to them, Jean Holloway, Steve Harris would say, there's going to be a town committee race. I'd like for you to be a part of it because of all the things that you do. That's usually how town committee members were chosen.
Hmm. Mm.
Then after a while, it got away where you were just picked because, because somebody wanted you there.
Right.
They
Right.
had they had a reason when they went looking for you. It's no longer because you were doing a lot of work in your community and they felt that you were the perfect person to sit on the town committee or on a board or a commission. So now somebody just say, hey, why don't you pick Jean Holloway?
Hmm.
Why don't you pick John Brown? But it's not because you're bringing anything to the table anymore. Because when I was asked to sit on the DTC, it was because I brought something to the table.
Right. So
So
it really has become politicized in that way, where the community benefit is lost.
a long time ago.
Yeah. So, but the process to become a town committee member is still an election. Like you do have to
It's a
go get
yes,
votes. Okay.
yes. It's an election somewhere along the line, and I did not look at the legislation, but it was changed uh, to where I mean it's not a lot of change, but you still have to do the same thing you do. You still need to go and get a consent form. You still got to go and solicit names to put on it. And people just pick who they want to pick versus a person who is going to bring something to the table. And that petition, that the consent form go back downtown. You still have to go and collect signatures even if there's no challenge slate. You still collect the signatures, and then there will be no race. If there's a challenge slate, then then you have an election like in the seventh district. My understanding is that two slate qualifies, so there will be an actual election in the seventh district.
Oh, okay, yeah, and that's what I wanted to. I felt the timeliness of this conversation was important because that activity of the consent form and the whole process of slates and the election is happening right now. Is that
Yes,
correct? Like,
that's correct.
okay,
Yes,
okay. So, individuals who are interested in becoming town committee members should be actively involved in this process as we speak.
they should.
Okay.
They should. They should.
Okay.
Um,
So, yeah.
one of the things that used to happen for the DTC, you look at the districts, and like I think in the seventh we have like maybe five or so. I don't remember how many right off the top districts. So you would go and you would ask people that that you have seen out there. You look at the women, men and women who was always at the Board of Education, meeting, talking about something, or the one who goes on city council and he's always talking about, and you find out who these people are, and where they live and who they are, and you ask them, would you like to be in the DTC? And you start talking, we explain the whole thing to them. You also want to have people at the table who are from all of the districts. So you have a town committee slate that don't have anybody who are from the 10th Assembly District. So it's as if there is a district that you get no representation from the DTC.
Right. And that then becomes an issue of not knowing the neighborhood, of not knowing the community, not knowing really what issues just you as a resident are facing. And that's really like
Exactly.
this is the really the grassroots level of entering into politics because you're making decisions in on the really at I step outside my front door kind of decision making. What's
Yes.
happening right there at my front door. So you served yourself on the town committee. Besides, we talked about how this group is very influential. Like what is the conversation? Like what are the types of things that a town committee is working on during the year that makes them so influential?
I really don't know what the town committee work on now. I
Okay.
just don't I have no clue. I have no clue. I can tell you what the town committee previously that we worked on. The When I was a part of the fifth district, one of the things that we did along with Steve Harris, who very big part of the fifth district, was we looked at men and women who were incarcerated at one time, and we wanted to know how can they go through the process of getting their names exonerated, whatever. I don't know the word I'm looking for right now. So we put together a conversation. We wanted to have the people from the parole board there. We had mental health, you know, people at the table, social workers. It was a whole group of folks we had at the table, and we had it like about 10 o'clock in the morning. It could have been earlier until 2 or 3 o'clock in the evening. And so the DTC for the fifth district had somebody to come in and explain to them the process of you applying for, to, the process of you applying for this, and then the whole thing, and they go to get your name remove that. that felony or whatever you're charged with is no longer there. That's all disappeared. That's some of the things that we worked on. We worked on the time when the trash cans, when Michael Peters came in and said everybody's going to get these new barrels and it was all for free. And so we had them. They wasn't supposed to like 15 or 20 years. They last forever. They're still, some of them are still being used. But when Perez came into office, the trash can, the price was moved up to like around $65 a can if in your trash can. And we know the town committee, my town committee members, we thought that it was just too much money for a resident to pay. If your two trash cans get messed up, it's just $5 each. You can't afford that. So we sat down and we met it on a regular basis and we talked about a price that we thought was fair enough for residents to afford. And we brought it back to Mayor Segarra at the time. And so the price went from 65 to 45. So those are the things that town committee members can work on. Those are the things that we have worked on throughout the years. I don't know what is being happening right now because I'm the vice chair for the party, but I'm not on the DTC.
Right. I know I love that we're having this conversation, Jean, because I think one of the things that's necessary to bring people back into this conversation is sort of like lifting the hood and understanding it's not, you don't have to have a certain degree, or you don't have to have it's for anyone. What qualifies you to enter politics is really just being a resident and having a voice and wanting issues taken care of. So I love that we're having this kind of conversation because you're illustrating this is what being involved in your community is about. And the DTC, the Democratic Town Committee, is just a group of individuals who should be serving in that role of just solving local neighborhood issues.
Yeah, because nobody know the issues in Clay Arsenal better than the town committee members who are here. And you need to know who your town committee, elected officials are. But you take, I have no doubt that the people in my neighborhood do not know who they are. So you can't reach out to anybody to say this is my issue. They just don't. But that's what the town committee role is. You're the most powerful person in your neighborhood. Your neighbors get to know who you are. They have issues in school with your children. They reach out to you and say, this one is being bullied. This one is this kind of issues. You reach out, they pick up the phone. You call the Board of Education person. You said, I need to talk to you. You set up a meeting with the Board of Ed person and the parent. And if you need to be there, you're there. And then you set it up and you go about your business. That's what you're supposed to do, because if the neighbors know how to reach out to those elected officials, they would not need me or the town committee members, but they don't know them. So yes, it's very important. And back to what you said, the town committee person is your neighbor. Right. That's who they are. They're your neighbors.
Right.
You don't need a PhD. You don't need nothing. You just need to be in the neighborhood and be a part of it.
That's right. So, I believe the election cycle begins early with the electing town committee members. All of them, I believe, are up for re-election or election this coming year. So, do you know when the elections take place? I don't have that information. But I think it's in March or something. Or
I know it's March, but I don't know what date it is.
Right.
It may very well be maybe the first or so Tuesday in March or second Tuesday in March, but it's the month of March. Okay. Because I believe absentee applications should be ready maybe by the 9th or the 10th of February. For the race. Yeah,
no, hopefully, if anyone watching is interested in finding out that whole process, I would encourage you to contact the Registrar of Voters office, and I'm sure they will have more information, or anyone else watching right now, please comment in the in whatever comment section that you may be watching the show on, and drop some knowledge for the residents watching, because it's such an important role that town committees play in the city. In addition to, I think what most people may know the town committee for is for endorsing candidates. But Jean, that really is just one piece of the pie, but that seems to have taken a larger role for town committee members, is that endorsement. It seems that it's like, every politician who runs, it's like we got to get the endorsement from the town committee members, and that has become a whole separate issue that I think is causing some of the discouragement or the apathy, or causing people not to want to really participate in the ways that they need to, or they have been in the past.
The DTC, of course, they are that's the body that endorses candidates. That's their role. But you also need to go out and do the work of the party. You lit drop, you door knock, you register voters, you explain the reason why people need to go out and participate in every election. That is your role as a DTC member. You never ever work inside the polls. You're never paid. A town committee person should never ever be paid to work inside of the poll. You're supposed to be outside, getting all the votes you possibly can for the candidate that you endorsed. That's your job.
Okay.
So it's not just endorsing a candidate. You need to work for that candidate or those candidates. And when you're there, it is also your job as a DTC member to understand when the council is passing legislation, you come back and you explain to your neighbors how important it is, what the budget says, which part belongs to the board of education, which part is for the police department. Those are things that you bring back to your community when you have your town committee members. You open it to the public and everybody come in. So the role of the DTC member is not just to endorse candidates. You need to work for the candidates. You need to implement the whatever the council and the mayor is pushing, is for you to bring it back to your neighborhood and explain to your people.
That is such good information. And we do have some comments coming in from the chat. We also have some questions as well. I understand March 5th is the town committee election. There is a question around how old do you have to be a town committee member? So I would encourage the comments to keep coming, and for those that have the answers to some of those questions to keep chiming in. But unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it here because, Jean, we're out of time. We are out of time.
It is what it is.
But maybe
let me know when you want me to come back and finish this conversation.
Yes, we are not done because there's just so much that on this topic of loan, and you are such a wealth of information, having been involved on so many different levels. So we absolutely want you to come back. Keep the comments coming in and keep the answers coming in. We can continue the conversation in the chat section because there's a lot that the community needs to know about town committees, the electoral process. This is a big year in the city of Hartford. You are going to be voting for a lot of different people, not only town committee members, but state representatives, senators. So just really a lot to get involved in and know the issues that are going to be important for you and your community. And that's why we're here on Civic Beat. So Jean, thank you.
You're very welcome. Call me anytime.
All right, we're going to leave it right there and invite you to continue watching all the great programming that we have right here on accesstv.org. Until then, until next time, be well, Hartford.
know.